Hello, I am back again with yet another Sonic art video. I swear that this isn't solely a Sonic art channel, I just love Sonic so much and it's not my fault that they keep feeding me that good content. Before we get into the art for today, I just wanted to say thank you for watching my last video where I drew your guys' Sonic OCs. I am so grateful to everyone who submitted so far for the next video in that series. You guys are so sweet. I've really been enjoying reading about all of your wonderful characters and their backgrounds, and I have not done my random name draw for it yet, so there is still time to submit your OC for the chance to be drawn in that video, and the link to the submission form will still be in the description. I'm going to try to do more OCs than I did last time just because there have been so many people submitting, but we will see because I am going to be pretty busy. I really want this to become a monthly series, and so the next video will come out sometime in May, probably towards the end of May because I just have a lot going on for the next couple of weeks, but mark my words, it will be posted in May, and if it doesn't get posted in May, I give you permission to bully me, but don't actually do that because I'm very sensitive and I will cry. But I am very excited to get into the art for today's video. As my fellow Sonic fans probably already know, I played the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog game that came out last month on April Fool's. Wow, I can't believe it's been over a month. I'm so sorry that I'm so slow at uploading, you guys. I'm going to get faster, I promise. But anyways, I adored it, especially the character artwork. I thought it was so beautiful, and I just thought it would be really fun to draw them as humans, because I usually draw humans anyway, but specifically I wanted to draw my girls, Amy, Blaze, and Rouge, because they look so good, and it ended up taking longer than I expected. But let's just get into the artwork, and of course my thoughts on this wonderful little April Fool's game. Welcome to the time lapse, everybody. As soon as I played The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, or TMOSTH, I don't know, I knew I wanted to make fan art of it. I thought drawing my holy trinity of Sonic girls as humans would be so fun, so that's what I set out to do. But even though I literally draw human characters all the time, I had way more trouble drawing them than I thought I would, and I think this just has to do with some art skill growing pains that I'm dealing with. I was about to go into a full-blown rant about this, but honestly, I think I'll save it for another video because I have so much to say. So I'll just spend this video talking about the game, my experience with it, and of course my thoughts while drawing these girls and everything that went through my head in terms of the character design decisions I was making. So something funny that happened while I was playing, I actually played it while being on a call with my friends on Discord, and they just watched me screen share and play the game, and I attempted to record it because I was hoping to use the footage, you know, for this video, but unfortunately it just stayed on the title screen the entire time, and also my voice was really quiet but everyone else's was loud and clear, so I don't know what happened. But if I ever do something like that again, I'll be sure to run more tests and make sure it actually works, because now I just have nearly 4 hours of audio with no visuals besides the title screen. But anyways, I was so delighted when this game came out. I remember specifically I was having a terrible day, I don't know why, just a poor mental health day in general, not really caused by anything, and then the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter posted the trailer for this game, and it seemed like a joke, but I thought it was really funny. But then the game was real and my life force was restored and I experienced joy and youth once again. But yeah, no, it made my day. I was so excited. The first thing I fell in love with about this game was the art, of course. The characters, the backgrounds, the colors, the interface, the mini games, everything about it was absolutely stunning. Just a visual feast, and I felt like I was being so well fed. My favorite aspect of it all was seeing the return of so many characters that I feel like I haven't really seen in forever, just getting to be themselves, and they all got so many speaking lines in a more casual setting. It was literally everything I could have ever wanted. I really wish Silver was there, and where was Cream? I thought her and Amy were besties, and Charmy not being there was kind of funny, but I don't know what's going on. Of course, I'm just only going off of Sonic Heroes because it was my favorite Sonic game, but yeah, I miss my girl Cream. I haven't seen her in ages. Amy was like, no kids allowed at the murder mystery party. That's the only explanation that I could come up with, even though Tails was allowed, but I guess Tails is slightly less of a kid. I don't know. Anyways, the other thing that I really loved about this was seeing all the characters wear these cute little outfits. They were so beautifully designed and so perfect. I knew that I had to draw them, and for my first round of fan art because there might be more. I just thought it would be fun to draw them as humans because I haven't done that in a while. Drawing human versions of Sonic characters is a classic art subject, at least for me. I started doing it in middle school, of course, and I've made so many versions of them since then, and let me tell you, my interpretations drastically change every time I draw them, probably because my art style also changes. They all looked pretty generic and pretty much had like the same face across the board, so as I got older, something I've wanted to capture in my character art is a general sense of diversity, just being able to show a range of facial features, skin tones, body types, etc., even while I'm drawing in a really stylized manner. Even if the differences are subtle, I still want them to be distinct. I'm really a fan of how they do this in Voltron, for example. They have very distinctive character features, even though it's extremely stylized and anime inspired. So I wanted to give each of the girls distinctive features, and I did that by looking at some real life people for reference. Most were just models and random girls I found on Pinterest. I went in with a general idea of what I wanted them to look like individually, and I just used the reference photos as inspiration and accuracy for how I stylized them. And I got each of their poses actually from their official character sheets, which I found somewhere on Twitter. I can't remember who posted it. So now that I've gone over my thoughts on the game and my general approach to how I was drawing the characters overall, I'd like to get into some of the details about each character and the design choices I went with, as well as some of the struggles I was just having in general. And I think my struggles were more based on just how I struggle with finishing a character art or just any piece really. I don't really have one single way of doing things yet. I'm constantly experimenting with everything I work on, and so I don't exactly have a consistent approach to my drawings, especially things that I do in color. So part of the struggle definitely came from that. But I guess I'll get started with Amy. So with Amy, I really loved her dress and her feather boa that she's wearing. Everything about this design is so cute, and I also really like the cupcake that she has on her headband. I think it suits her character really well. I wanted her facial features to be cute and youthful and soft. Specifically for Amy's features, I wanted her eyes to have some sort of epicanthic fold because I have a generic way of drawing eyes. They're very anime inspired, and I want to be able to capture different eye shapes in my work, so I thought that Amy would be a good character to try this on. Honestly, that feature specifically got lost in the process. I did like an underpainting of all the basic colors and shapes and shading that I wanted, and then I did a paint over. And during the paint over process is where you can really lose track of your original vision, which happens to me so much when I go with this type of approach. And so I realized it towards the end. I just looked at her and I'm like, this is nothing like the original vision that I had in mind. So I ended up kind of repainting her face quite a bit at the very end, but ultimately I am much happier with how she ended up turning out. Her eyes have a shape that is much closer to what I originally had in mind, and so I'm really happy that I went in and changed it, even though it was basically already done. I had a lot of fun doing her hair. I looked at several different references online of like short pink bob hairstyles, but I kind of just did my own thing with it for the most part, I'd say. I definitely had trouble with the feather boa, but I think it came together. Yeah, you'll see in the video just a bunch of me turning layers on and off because I'm trying to get the features right. I was really struggling. It's like I can't even narrate exactly what I'm doing over the time lapse just because there was so much of a back and forth on this. And actually, I'll be honest, this whole painting isn't even my first attempt. My first attempt was a completely different file, and the way I drew and stylized them, I thought it was just way too simple, and I wasn't a fan of it, and I felt like they all looked too generic. You could tell I'm trying to fight like same face syndrome. Personally, I don't think it's a big deal. You can draw characters in whatever style you like, but I like being able to make each character look distinct even if they're all drawn in the same style. So that's what I was going for with these three, and I hope that it came through. You can't see it yet, but by the end you'll see that I was able to better capture my vision for Amy, and I'm ultimately really happy with how it turned out. I think I got her expression pretty well, although that was also a challenge in itself. Yeah, I'm watching this back and my first attempt at her face is crazy. Like, it looks nothing like the original sketch that I made, but this is what I mean when I say that the paint over can ruin your vision. Like, you just get carried away with the coloring, you don't even realize how much you're messing it up. So yeah, please stick around to the end so you can see her actually look good, because that first painting attempt was a mess. So now we can get started talking about Miss Blaze. I love Blaze so much. It was so cool to see her in a Sonic game again. I feel like she is not utilized nearly enough. She has such a cool character design and has such a cool appeal, and she has fire powers. Like, who doesn't love fire powers? I love her so much, and seeing her in this beautiful, elegant outfit was just the cherry on top for this game. It made me so happy to see. For her human design, I definitely wanted her to just be cat-like. After all, she is a cat. I wanted her features to be bold and sharp. Cats tend to be associated with like sharp, angular shape language, so I wanted that to be shown in like her eyes, her nose, her face shape, and her hair. And I really liked this expression on this character sheet. I thought she just looked so condescending and rude, and I thought it was funny. You'll see that my first attempt at her expression is quite harsh. I think it looked like it was bordering on her looking super angry, probably because of how sharply angled I made her eyebrows, so I changed that towards the end. I also wanted her body to look very tall and strong, but still slender, also like a cat. And I was looking at her Sonic fandom Wikipedia page, and it points out that the gem that she wears on her forehead resembles a bindi, and so I thought that made sense for me to look at Indian and South Asian models for reference for her facial features, and I found some really awesome reference images on Pinterest that helped me to better capture the features that I already had in mind, and I am really happy with how she turned out, aside from me messing up her expression at first. Like I said, overall, I think that this one went smoothly. Towards the end, I realized that I was kind of, I guess, bored with her dress design. I thought the colors were just not making sense to me. It just felt like it was a big wall of purple with her big purple dress, and it looks great on the Sonic character, but in the human form, I don't know, it just wasn't working for me. So I tried to make it stand out by giving her dress more of a blue violet color, and then her hair more of a reddish violet color, and I think that helped a bit, but it still wasn't giving me enough contrast. So towards the end, you'll see that I give her dress, and actually I did this to Amy's dress as well, I gave it a little pattern to help create some contrast, create some interest in the design of her dress, because it is just one plain color, and I think that really helped a lot. So definitely you'll see at the end how much of a difference it makes to just add a little bit of patterning to make the dress look more interesting. I tried to add a little bit more interest and detail to the necklaces she's wearing. Something else that's really hard to capture with a human version of Blaze, unless you're going like full stylized anime character, is how she has that straight up ponytail on her character. It looks very cool in the Sonic style. It's a little bit harder to make it not look ridiculous as a human character, so I did my best. Hopefully it looks good. Let me know in the comments. And something I noticed at the very end, like literally as I was editing this, I realized the gem on her forehead was just a bit too high, and when I went to fix that, I realized her hairline was like really off, so I did a little bit of painting over towards the end of the process, which you will see at the end. And overall, I was just so happy to see Blaze in a game again. I loved seeing her partnership with Rouge, especially. That's just a matchup I never thought I needed, and now I have it. I hope that they use her more in future games. I would like to be able to play as her more, and I just need more Blaze content. I think we all do. And last but not least, we can talk about Rouge. So Rouge's outfit is actually my favorite, I think, out of the entire game. When she first came out, I was just blown away. I loved her sunglasses, and even though the design is really simple, I just think the whole outfit suits her so well, and I especially love her little white heels with the purple hearts on them. I think they're so cute, and so I knew I was going to have a blast drawing her, and I decided to go with this expression from the character sheet because I feel like it's a type of expression we usually don't see Rouge having in the games. You know, she's usually trying to be very coy and mysterious, and so I thought it'd be fun to draw her in this more like adorable expression. In terms of my inspirations and just the look I was trying to go for, with her skin tone, I wanted it to lie somewhere in the middle of how her muzzle looks in the Sonic Adventure 2 game versus how she's often drawn in like concept art, or just how she's shown today. So like a sun-kissed olive skin tone, basically. I think it goes really well with her white hair, and I wanted her features to be somewhat soft like Amy's, but with a touch more maturity, so a slightly sharper face shape and bolder makeup, of course, and I wanted her body to be significantly curvier compared to the other two, a distinctive aspect of her original Sonic character design anyways. And I had several photos on Pinterest as inspiration for her facial features, but I ended up kind of closing in on one person. Her name is Janine Tugonon, and she won Miss Universe Philippines in 2012, and she's a model. I specifically just really liked her face shape. I thought it had a good balance of hard and soft shapes in her features, and her skin tone is pretty close to what I was envisioning for my depiction of Rouge. Since Rouge was the last character I worked on, I think I just ended up spending more time time on her, at least in the finishing phase. I was doing a lot more details when I did the paint over, and I was trying a bunch of different techniques to see if I could discover anything that I wanted to include on the other two, because I wasn't 100% satisfied with how they looked. And as I mentioned before, I did add some textures to Amy and Blaze's dresses, but I also added a sort of newsprint dotted texture to all of their designs just to add some visual interest, because they were looking a bit too, I don't know, just plain. I see it as it's kind of a trending thing with a lot of artists I've seen recently, just adding some kind of texture from a specific brush into their work just to add a little bit of interest, add suggestion of color or lighting without making it too harsh, I guess. I'm not sure how to word the effect that it has, but I do know that I really like the effect that it has. And I am really happy with how it turned out. I really enjoy the interest that it added, and I feel like those textures just really brought the whole piece together and each individual design together. Something to note about my process, although it's fairly inconsistent, something that I do tend to do consistently is start somewhat desaturated with my coloring, and then towards the end I'll use either a overlay or a color dodge layer on certain parts of it just to make everything pop. It brightens all the colors and saturates them, and so that's just something that I've noticed that I do fairly consistently. As much as I like being colorful, I usually like to add the saturation of that color towards the end instead of during the process. So you'll notice if you just see colors get brighter, that's what I'm doing. I'm playing with the blending modes and adding saturation to certain parts of the image, basically. It's possible that I depend on this step of the process a bit too much, but that's okay. I think it's a really fun step. It's where I get to see the colors like really come to life. So towards the end, you can see this is where I started fixing and adding some details that I had mentioned previously. So I fixed Amy's eyes, some details on Blaze's and Rouge's faces, and adding the texture to Amy and Blaze's dresses. Originally, I was going to just keep them on this blank background, and I think that would have been fine, but I realized that that's just something that I tend to do all the time, and I'm trying to get better at adding more interest to the backgrounds of my illustrations. Like, even if I don't do a full scene, I at least want to add some texture, some patterning, something. But this time I decided to go with a scene somewhat, and I kept it pretty simple, at least process-wise, but I actually am really happy with how the final image turned out. There have been flashlights shone on them like they've been caught, and there's blood splattered on the wall with their harsh shadows casting against the wall, and I am so happy with how it turned out. The process was pretty simple, just the magic of blending modes and then some blood spatter brushes, but I think it turned out really cool, and so I think it was worth it for me to decide to actually put some time into some kind of a background, and I'm really happy I did that. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, let me know if you'd like me to draw the other characters from The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog in their outfits as humans, because this was so fun to work on, even though I had a bunch of trouble during the process. Let me know who would be your first pick for me to draw for the next round if I get to it. And don't forget, you can still submit your Sonic OC for the chance for me to draw it in a future video. It'll definitely get posted before the end of May, so get your submission forms in soon. But don't worry, I'll be doing this as a series once a month, so if you don't get in the next one, there's still a chance I'll draw it someday. And link to the submission form is in the description. In other news, I have a lot happening the next couple of weeks, and I'm working on a K-pop related video that's very time consuming, but I am so excited to get it done and share it. So if there are any Sonic fans that also like K-pop, please sound off in the comments below so I know that I'm not alone. And if you'd like to tip or commission me, which is very appreciated, I have a Ko-fi, which will also be linked in the description. Otherwise, feel free to check out my socials and any other important links down there. I am trying to be more active on my other social accounts, I swear. And thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!